When our first marriage fails, I think we have to take a very good, hard look at what we brought to that marriage and what our expectations were.
Do enough couples do that work?
No. No.
So with nearly 1/3 of marriages in the U.S. being remarried or second married couples, what are the biggest challenges for people getting into second and third marriages to deal with?
Well, the two top challenges for couples who are remarried and having a blended family are finances, issues related to money, and then the second issues related to children. I mean, the challenges in a second marriage are so complex when compared to a first marriage. I mean, you're dealing with exes, you're dealing with widowhood, you're dealing with, you know, external family members that are beyond the family unit. You're dealing with grandparents and step-grandparents, and that's a lot of pressure.
What can couples do to prepare themselves?
Know what you're getting into when you're getting remarried. There are tons of books. You have to dig for them, but there are tons of books like The Remarriage Checkup by Ron Deal. There's, you know, websites like Remarriage Works. You know, there are lots of blogs written by stepmoms.
When there's a divorce, the heart closes down. And so one of the challenges emotionally for a second or third marriage is, have you gotten through and worked through being able to open your heart again?
When our first marriage fails, I think we have to take a very good, hard look at what we brought to that marriage and what our expectations were.
Do enough couples do that work?
No.
Yeah.
It's not easy work.
Why do they avoid it?
Because it's so much easier to lay the blame at your partner. And we see this in intact marriages. It's like, well, if my partner would just stop doing this, we'd be fine. And we don't recognize it's a relationship, and I have a piece of this. And so none of us want to look at our flaws. It isn't necessarily wrong. It just didn't work in this situation. So how do you change it so the next time it works better?
Is this going to fail again? You know, there's the stronger doubt of, well, it failed, and no one gets married the first time planning on getting a divorce.
Yeah, right.
So now it's like there's a conscious or unconscious fear, is this going to happen again?
Right.
And another challenge is that it is going to happen again, meaning you are going to run into the set of problems
Same set of
and
problems.
issues and frustrations, and maybe a different set, but you're going to run into the phases of marriage that we know, the differences.
So what about situations where marriage is ended because of something like cheating or infidelity? How does that carry over into a remarriage situation? And what do people have to do to get over that?
If you were cheated on and you remarry somebody else, then you're very conscious and you're kind of trusting, and so your partner is kind of holding the bag for what your ex did.
What about marriages where a couple they cheat, they split,
and they
get together as a couple that had an affair? Right. How do those marriages work?
Statistically, not very well. Usually, any relationship that starts out as an affair has about a 10% chance of success. Mostly because that affair is a fantasy world. It's really, I'm trying to escape my pain, and so I'm not really seeing this person as the real person that they are. And so then, because we're grabbing moments here, and it's kind of like the perpetual
whole chemical thing.
Well, it's not just the chemical, but it's also we're living in a world where the real world doesn't come into it. And now when we get married,
it's in a fantasy.
Now we have all the real world stuff, plus we have all the baggage from it starting out as an affair.
We talked about, do people get remarried too quickly? I think a good question to add to that is, do remarried people divorce too quickly? Because it takes, experts have said it takes 7 years for a step family to successfully blend. Okay. And then there's a Dr. Patricia Papper now who has said 12 years. I'm coming up on year 10, and I would argue we're not successfully blended yet. So I think that people just don't give it enough time.
What is the one piece of advice that you would offer to couples that are entering a second or a third marriage?
I would offer up to talk to people that have been remarried and are successful.
This honeymoon will end too, and when that happens, that's just an opportunity to grow more in this relationship.
I would really make sure that you do do the work on yourself before entering the marriage.
And I just add to that, to be patient and respectful. There's a great quote by Oscar Wilde that addresses remarriage, and it says, "Remarriage is the triumph of hope over experience."